Hi there. I'm here to talk about the history of the observation of Jupiter. Humanity has been observing Jupiter since the dawn of astronomy. We've known of its status as a planet very early on. The word planet being Greek for wanderer, so called because Jupiter wanders along the ecliptic with respect to the stars. Chinese astronomers may have observed one of Jupiter's moons as early as 350 BC, probably the moon Ganymede, which is Jupiter's largest and most reflective moon. In 1610, Galileo first pointed a telescope up at Jupiter, and with it, he observed Jupiter's 4 largest moons. The very next day, Simon Marius also observed the moons and gave them the names that we use today, but nobody remembers Simon Marius. In the 1660s, Giovanni Cassini started studying Jupiter's atmosphere, taking note on what formations he saw when, and trying to piece together Jupiter's rotational period. Jupiter has the fastest rotational period of any of the planets in our solar system. In 1932, Rupert Wildt used spectroscopy, spreading out the wavelengths of light to detect ammonia in Jupiter's atmosphere. In 1955, Kenneth Franklin and Bernard Burke started looking at Jupiter in the radio wavelength and found that Jupiter was a huge source of radio emission. In 1973, Pioneer 10 was the first spacecraft to fly by Jupiter and took several pictures along the way. 1 year later, in 1974, Pioneer 11 flew by and started taking observations of Jupiter's atmosphere. In 1979, both Voyager 1 and 2 flew by Jupiter, and both studied its atmosphere. Now, what they found was that there was volcanic activity on Jupiter's moon Io. This was the first volcanic activity we had ever found in the solar system, and was a huge deal. Astronomers all agreed that Io was the worst place to live in the solar system. In 1992, the spacecraft Ulysses passed Jupiter and used Jupiter's gravity to propel itself along in its course. In 1995, the spacecraft Galileo, named of course for the Galileo who discovered Jupiter's moons, went into orbit around Jupiter. It was the first and the only spacecraft to ever go into orbit around Jupiter, making it as rare and special as this majestic unicorn. It was in orbit around Jupiter for 8 years, taking measurements of Jupiter's atmosphere, taking pictures of Jupiter and its moons, and when it was almost at the end of its lifespan, scientists didn't want to risk any contamination of any life that might still be living on the Galileo spacecraft from Earth. So, they plunged it into Jupiter's atmosphere. In the year 2000, on its way to Saturn, Cassini flew by Jupiter and got thousands and thousands of awesome pictures of Jupiter. And in 2007, New Horizons flew by Jupiter using its gravity to fly itself out to Pluto. But along the way, it made a couple of observations of Jupiter to test its equipment. And now, in 2016, the Juno spacecraft is just about to reach Jupiter. It's only going to be the second spacecraft to ever orbit around Jupiter. This is a huge deal. It's going to be able to take clearer pictures and better data than anything we've ever been able to do for this huge, majestic planet. So make sure you are watching the media, because this is going to be awesome.